Hello students, today we shall do a very simple topic in grammar, and that is clause analysis. So once again, this is your English teacher Seema, and let's go ahead with this topic, clause analysis. Now what are we going to learn in this topic? First and foremost, we will learn the meaning of a clause, because we will go ahead and do the analysis, but first we should know what a clause is. We shall identify the main clause and the subordinate clause, and then identify the types of subordinate clauses. And finally, we shall state the relation of the subordinate clause to the main clause if asked in the question. See there students, it's very clearly written that if at all it is asked in the question, only then you will state the relation. So we're going to deal each one of these in different modules. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now first and foremost, let us understand the meaning of a clause. What is a clause? A clause is a part of a sentence which has its own subject and its own finite verb. What is the subject? We've already done this before, students. It is the noun or the pronoun that comes before the verb. Of course, it is something that we are going to speak about in the sentence. And what is the finite verb? You have done that as well before. It is the verb which either has a subject before it or the subject is implied. That means there has to be a subject before it, though it is not visible. And most importantly, it will tell you the tense of the sentence. So, it is a part of a sentence. What is it? A clause is a part of a sentence, and that part has its own subject and its own finite verb. Let's understand this with an example. Now, take the sentence. I know that he is happy. Clearly, there are two parts in this sentence. I know and that he is happy. Let's check. In each part, if you see, there is a subject and a finite verb. Look at the first part. I is the subject and know is the finite verb. Look at the second part. He is the subject and is the finite verb. So both these parts have their own subject and their own finite verb, and therefore each of it is a clause. So that is a clause. Now, what are the kind of sentences that they will ask you for clause analysis? It will be a complex sentence. Now, what is a complex sentence? It is a sentence which is made up of a main clause and a subordinate clause. Students, that is why you have to identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. Of course, and the subordinate clause starts with the subordinator. Main clause, subordinate clause, subordinator. What is all this? Don't worry. You're going to deal with all of it in the coming modules. Okay? Now, let's again take a look. A complex sentence, as I said, is made up of a main clause and a subordinate clause. And the subordinate clause starts with the subordinator. So, subordinate clauses again are of three types. What are they? We have the noun clause, the adjective clause, and the adverb clause. Again, students, the adverb clauses are of 9 types. So you have to mention which of those 9 types the adverb clause is. What are those 9 types? Quickly. Time, place, manner, reason, purpose, result, contrast, condition, and comparison. So students, this is all that you have to identify when you do clause analysis. Next, there could be 2 types of questions in clause analysis. What are those 2 types? One, just identify and analyze the clause. And the other one would be a little more. Now, what do we do in this one? We have to answer this in the following manner. 1, you will identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. 2, you will identify the type of clause, that means whether it's noun, adjective, or adverb. And in an adverb clause, which of the 9 types is what you have to write here. That's it. Now, let's look at the next one. Analyze the clauses and state the relation. Now, here, students, what are you supposed to do? What more are you supposed to do? See here, we will see how it is answered. 1, identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. 2, identify the type of clause, which you've already done in identify and analyze. There is one step added here, that is state the relation. And how is the relation stated? As follows. Now, there are 6 types of relations. That means the subordinate noun clause is related to the main clause in 6 different types. adjective. Here you have to mention the noun that the clause qualifies. Students, an adjective always qualifies a noun or a pronoun. Similarly, a subordinate adjective clause will qualify a noun or a pronoun in the main clause. So that is what you have to mention if you are asked the relation. Next, adverb. Remember students, we said an adverb is something or a word that actually adds on to a verb, an adjective and another adverb. So students, an adverb clause also does the same. Therefore, you have to mention which verb, adverb or adjective it modifies. So students, these are the two different types of questions that you would be asked, and we will deal with both. But first, we shall study the first type, that is to identify and analyze the clauses, and we shall do this in the next module.